I've been meaning to share my LASIK story for a while, and I'm not gonna lie to you, when I first had my surgery, I kind of went through a lot, so I wasn't really ready to talk about it. And now I honestly find it really hard to make these videos. Shout out Melanie, you are so brave for doing what you do. Also, I'm terrible at telling stories, so I have prepared some questions for myself. That way I can try to keep on track. But this is a lot harder than it looks, honestly. So first, my life before LASIK. So my vision before LASIK was really bad. Ever since I was a child, I was in glasses, and into my teen years, I was in contacts, and into my early and late 20s, I was in contacts. And I made my decision to start doing LASIK when I finally had spoken with my sister who went through the experience and had a wonderful experience. She told me it was the best thing that she ever did. I spoke with my other coworker and same thing. She had a great experience. It was the best thing she ever did. Did I research? No. And I should have. But I'm one of those people who are very impulsive with my decisions. And in hindsight, I wish I would have spent a little bit more time researching. I never thought that what I was going to experience was even going to be a problem I would run into. I was more concerned about going blind. But this is something that I've had to basically accept, that I made a bad decision and I kind of have to live with it. Now, the consultation process, I went on a Saturday and they did, I don't even remember what tests, but they did a bunch of different tests, tested me for dry eye, tested or looked at my eyes, and they basically said that I was a perfect candidate. They also said that they had an opening and that they would be able to squeeze me in, and I was so excited that I jumped at the chance. Now, that day of surgery, I went in, I checked in, I did my paperwork, and during the actual surgery itself, it was very quick and relatively painless. There was a little bit of discomfort in my right eye, but it went away fairly quickly. Now, after I was done with the surgery, it probably took 5 minutes tops, I was immediately up and able to see. And I thought that was great. I met my husband out in the lobby. They gave me some sunglasses, told me to go home, sleep it off. And that's kind of where the problem started. So as soon as the numbing drops that they give you started to wear off, I started to get this really intense burning pain in my eyes. My husband had actually left to go to run errands with his mom, and I had to call him back, and he ended up sitting with me. The facility was already closed, so we figured that since I was immediately right after surgery able to still see, that I should just relax and chill. And after a couple of hours, it eventually did go away, and I thought that I was in the clear. So the very following day, which would have been Sunday, I had a decent day. I was very light sensitive, but that was normal. That was something that I was told to expect. And then I was told that I was allowed to go back to work that following Monday. Now, that's really where the next amount of problems happened. And I started to have major pain. After that, it was a series of doctor's appointments after doctor's appointments after doctor's appointments, where everybody told me that everything was fine. They saw no issues. At one point, they thought that I had shingles in my eye. That was never confirmed. And then later, doctors questioned whether that was even the case, or if the doctor was trying to just find anything to just explain what I was going through. I eventually went to a doctor, and a neuro-ophthalmologist, he said that he, based off of everything that I was experiencing, that he thought I might have corneal neuralgia. Now, at this point, I had every single day sat with my eyes closed doing drops every 5 to 10 minutes. I eventually figured out that if I wear swimming goggles, that I could be a little more comfortable. So I started wearing swimming goggles every day. I didn't leave my bedroom at all for days. and eventually had convinced my work to let me work remotely. That way I was able to continue to make money. So I would sit in my room, ironically on this beanbag, and I would just sit here with my laptop and I would take calls. I'm in digital marketing sales, so I would just close my eyes and I would talk to them about whatever topic they were looking to purchase, whether it was a website or whether they wanted to purchase SEO, ads, didn't matter. And if I needed to do anything that required any type of visual, I would just I would do a screen share, but I would keep my camera closed so that they couldn't see that I was in swimming goggles. I somehow managed to work through all of this, but every single day I woke up and I was so miserable. I was in so much pain. I didn't know how I was going to continue every day to feel like this. And so as every day I would go to a doctor and they would tell me that I was fine, there came a point to where the doctor told me, you know, you'll just get used to it. And that sent me off the deep end. I was so panicked. I didn't want to be in this much pain. I didn't think I could be in this much pain for the rest of my life. And I ended up reaching out to Dr. Galore in Miami. Now, she doesn't normally see patients. She typically only sees veterans from the VA, but she made an exception to do a video call, and then she sent me to Miami for a bunch of testing. She did actually confirm that I had corneal neuralgia, so at that point I actually got a diagnosis. They did a confocal, and she adjusted some of my medication. So at that point, I was only on gabapentin and serum tears, which are eye drops made from your blood. To now, she had upped my gabapentin, and that seemed to be helping. And then she also had given me an anti-inflammatory drop, a steroid eye drop. That way I could try to treat some of the inflammation as I tried to essentially regrow my nerves back. So corneal neuralgia is a disease that affects the nerves in your eyes. It's essentially saying that something's preventing my nerves from growing back properly, which affects your ability to produce tears. It affects your ability to just your eyes to react normally. I'm not a doctor, so please forgive me for my description. If you want to know more about corneal neuralgia, you can look it up or ChatGPT it. That's what everybody's doing nowadays. But the day that she started making some of those changes, I started to feel a lot better. We started going into the holidays, and I got through Christmas, and right after I was actually able to get into Dr. Hamra. He works out of Boston, and he basically adjusted my meds. He got me from a point of, so Dr. Galore got me to a point to where I was able to go back to work, but I was still wearing these ugly goggles that for some reason prevented me from being in so much discomfort. And I was actually able to, by seeing Dr. Hamra, be in this room with light, not just a dark room. I was able to now work under fluorescent lights. I can work on computers. I do keep a dark screen on my computer. Usually if you see me out and about, you're gonna see me in these glasses here. But I've been trying to get away from wearing these as well. So I am making progress. But the main reason why I did want to make this is there's not a lot of information out there, and the information that is out there, a lot of it requires reading. So I will try to make more videos in the future sharing my actual progress through my medications, what I tried that worked, what I didn't try that didn't work. Hopefully some of that will end up being helpful. But I just wanted to also talk a little bit about this, so maybe somebody who's considering doing LASIK and doesn't know what the possible problems that they could run into. Doctors don't tell you this, and for some reason, specifically LASIK surgeons, they almost kind of gaslight you and tell you that nothing's wrong with you. I find it really hard to believe that there's not a single doctor out there that's had one patient like me and they continue to do surgeries. I don't know how they can do that, but I hope that this prevents somebody from going through that, and then we don't have to worry about whether the doctor is going to tell you, because you already know that this is something that is a potential outcome. Now, would I do this again? Heck no. Now, what I wish I knew before LASIK is there's the only complication that can happen isn't just blindness, isn't just halos, isn't just dry eye. When they say dry eye, and when I tell people that I have severe dry eye, they don't really know what that can mean for them, because just like me prior to this, if you said that you had really severe dry eye and that's why you were wearing goggles, I would have thought that was really strange, and I would have thought that you just need to go to a doctor and they'll fix you. But there are some things that just can't necessarily be fixed by a certain, like a simple medication. And this is apparently, I guess, going to be something that I'm going to go through for the rest of my life. Now, I also want to share this story to give hope to those who are going through this. I know that whatever you're experiencing, no matter how long you've been experiencing this for, there is things you can do to help. And I don't know what that is for you, but if you want to reach out, I will definitely try to tell you my story, give you some advice, and hopefully that will help you on your track to figuring out, how to live in this new normal, and to also figure out what medications that you might need to consider to ask your doctor. Now, I also want to preface this with, I know that when you are going through something that puts you in a lot of pain, you're not always necessarily going to be open-minded to the doctor's advice, especially when you went to a doctor and this happened, or maybe you went to another doctor after you had your LASIK and they told you that there's nothing they can do, but I promise that there is. But thanks for listening.